Well, hey everybody, Dylan here, and welcome to the news that's totally not late for the 8th of January through the 14th of January. Yeah, that's right. I'm running late. Don't judge me. It happens. Alright, just a disclaimer, like always, I usually use like 5 to 6 different pages, but considering I rushed all this into like one day to try to get it done last week, I just used one page predominantly for the month of January. So, if you want to check out anything mentioned, it'll be linked in the description below. With that being said, no matter when I do this, if I mention any rumors, like I just say rumors, 9 times out of 10, it will be just from Cage Side Seats. So I'm just going to quote those verbatim whenever it's time for those. And I'm just telling you this just in case you cared. Alright, let's crack into that news. Ready? Dolph Ziggler did an interview at Busted Open. So yeah, he stopped by Busted Open on January 8th for his first interview since being cut by WWE. In discussing his release, he said that he was thinking about leaving. You know what? I'll let him say it. Ready? Quote, "It's weird because I was performing for the last 6, 8, 10 months going, and at some point they have to make a change here. So as you get ready to go, you see that you don't have a chance to be in a pay-per-view match and steal the show. You don't have a chance to have a 6-minute match and steal the show. You have a match where at this point it's 3 minutes and you don't get an entrance on the show and everybody knows who's winning the match on the show. Can I help you? Can I find a way to have that work?" And then once that started happening, a couple years ago when Rude and I were tagging, we'd have 3 or 4 or 5-minute matches. So I was starting to think about, hey man, at some point I need to be back ready to go. Will my shape and stamina be there? So I've been preparing for this so long, getting things ready to go. I wasn't like, what I do now? I'm free, or whatever it was. I was planning for this half the entire last contract with WWE going. I know at some point I'm going to be paid way too much to sit at home, so I'm going to have to get out of here. So I always wanted to be ready to go just in case they said, hey, by the way, I know you've been doing 90-second matches. Can you do 35 minutes on TV with the Taker? Damn right I can. So I was ready to go anyway. I just wanted to have every option available, so it wasn't out of the blue. I sent a few emails to the boss for the last 6 months definitively saying, I have to move on somewhere else. Can you let me do this? And eventually, without exact back and forth, that's how it worked out. So it wasn't weird because it was those 6 to 8, 10 months in place for me going, here it comes. Okay, great. Now I have 90 days sitting around, which is going to break my heart, but I got to do it. I just take up extra workouts and everything like that. And he talked a little bit about his New Japan debut, yeah. Quote, it's, quote, "I don't care what others say." I think he meant to say other people, but whatever. "But I'm really looking forward to going. The things I do behind the scenes or in the ring, I have for the last 20 years in WWE, bringing that to several different places, maybe even as a hired gun, bouncing around and just saying, here's what I pitched to WWE 20 years ago. For me to be a modern-day Ric Flair who shows up in a territory and makes something happen and steals the show with their champ without even knowing who the hell he is, then move on to the next town." So hopefully something like that, which, hey, that's my shade. So hopefully something like that, which I've been really looking forward to a long time. I'm going to level with you. That was all the news for January 8th that I pulled up. I'm sure there's more things. Like I said, if you want to look into it, look into their archives for January 8th. This starts January 9th. I forgot to introduce the 8th, whatever. All right. So, according to WrestleNomics, the January 5th episode of SmackDown was watched by 2.465 million total viewers and did a 0.67 rating with 18 to 49-year-olds. And also, according to WrestleNomics, shout out, the latest Collision drew an audience of 402,000, and did a .13 rating among 18 to 49-year-olds. Cody Rhodes isn't sweating CM Punk, and The Rock's WWE returns. He told Sports Illustrated that he's, quote, "not flinching," end quote, in the face of possibly losing a main event spot at this April's Showcase of the Immortals. Quote, "The Rock is the great one. He's still electrifying. CM Punk is one of the greatest stars in the history of wrestling. I know what I'm up against. Look at the roster. It's loaded with stars, but that doesn't bother me. I'm not flinching. I'm not rooting against anyone else. I'm just working to make it happen. My cat's letting you know that she very much cares about you right now. She is rubbing against that mic like this is the first time she's ever seen it. So if you hear that, you're welcome. I'm not waiting for her to move. This job, it's not like he continues, by the way. This job, it's not like punching a clock. It's really fun movement with the fans. We're really enjoying the moments that schedule. We're really enjoying this moment that... Oh, I skipped the line. We're really enjoying this moment that we're having together, and I only get better with heavy schedule. I'm about to be the best I've ever been because I'm doing it so frequently. That confidence has really been snowballing. I hit milestones I didn't anticipate, beating name redactive twice, for example. I keep thinking, what's better than this? It's the way to get each of these moments... Babe, you gotta get your paw off that. I can't read. Has connected with the fans. They've given me their trust. It has made me even more confident. Matt Riddle claims Brock Lesnar booked himself to win 2022 Rumble, which that was name redacted earlier. Funny bit. Anyway, he said during a virtual signing with Signed by Superstars on January 8th. It's talking about Brock booking himself. Quote, "So I believe, it's sports entertainment, but I was told at one point I was going to win the Rumble and everything else. And then what was it? Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar because somebody came in and hit him with the belt or what have you. Then Brock came in. Then Brock came in, didn't want to do business with everybody, said he was winning, implied the Rumble match, and then he won. None of the producers, nobody stood up to him, and they let him do it. I didn't either." Listen, the Rumble is booked months in advance. So there's a possibility he just said, "Screw you all, I'm winning," but I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. Sorry, Riddle. You're a cool guy. All right, here's the rumors for the day. I didn't get any for the 8th, so sorry about that. But here's for the 9th, whatever day we're on. WWE discussed Sean Waltman, Naomi, and Liv Morgan as surprise entrants in this year's Rumble match per PW Insider. As we know nowadays, 2/3 of those names entered the Rumble. Sorry, Sean. In talking about Roman Reigns' Rumble match, that's an alliteration, Dave Meltzer said on the Wrestling Observer Radio that the original plan was a singles with Orton, but because some at WWE believed it was too early to have Reigns beat Orton someone at WWE believed it was too early to have Reigns beat Orton because, quote, "there's money to be made with Orton and Roman in a program at some point." I mean, there's always money with those two, to be fair. They have great chemistry. Because of that, AJ Styles and LA Knight were added so one of them can take the pin. Let me try to think about the Rumble real quick. Which one of them took the pin? I think it didn't. Yeah, AJ took the pin, I think. In the 2024 forecast, sports business journalist John, I'm trying to say his last name, Ourand, Ourand, sorry, has Amazon securing media rights to WWE Raw, which, spoiler alert, that does not happen. The reporter believes Raw would remain on Monday nights as a strategy to give Amazon Prime more live program, draw the young male demographic to the service. Spoiler alert, somebody else ends up getting those rights, and we'll talk about it on one of these weekly news reviews. If Amazon doesn't pony up, according to this, he could see Disney getting Raw rights. That would be crazy. And putting the show on FX. That also didn't happen. Spoiler alert. Gilla wasn't happy of rumors of WWE interest in her leak so far in advance of her Stardom deal ending this spring, per Fightful Select. She's still a, quote, potential priority acquisition for WWE that's expected to join the company later this year. But allegedly. Plans call for her to start in NXT unless she works outside the company with her own trainers to get main roster ready. In a report about WWE's interest in partnering with Japanese promotions, Fightful Select didn't have much new information, but had multiple sources stress to them that, quote, the company was in a new era and things could things could be done a lot differently. I mean, look at the Rumble. The Rumble didn't happen at this point, so I get it. They didn't have that to base it on, but like future hindsight hindsight from the future. Look at the Rumble, man. Literally, you get Triple H like praising TNA afterwards. That's crazy. That is a world I never thought I'd live in. WWE recently filed to trademark, quote, Final Testament. Speculation this is for something related to new Karrion Kross AOP faction. That is correctamundo. That's exactly what it was. Based on his Lincoln ID, Shane Emerson has been promoted AEW's Vice President of Global Performing and Partnerships. His title had been Head of Global Performing and Partnerships. So let's see here. So now he's the VP. Ooh. Warner Brothers Discovery seems pretty happy with AEW. By the way, we're on day 9. I think you know that, but I was just updating myself. Anyway, per a press release, which I think we're going to talk about in a second, the Dave Zaslav, Zaslav, run media... Okay, the stupid company, Warner Brothers Discovery. Sorry, I was quoting the article verbatim, but I've redid it. Anyway, they talked about their 2023 rating success, and they made a point to shout out Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. Off the top, AEW is mentioned alongside NBA and NHL as live telecasts that helped, quote, TNT grow its primary ratings by 14% among adults 25 to 54, end quote. And it also gets some point later on, quote, 2023 performance highlights for the brand U.S. networks at Warner Brothers Discovery that read, and I quote, this is the only part that I'm going to quote out of that press release, BT-dub. TNT's ratings among adults 25 to 54 grew 14% year over year, with the network maintaining its rank as number 1 cable entertainment network in prime among adults 25 to 54, 1849 and 1834. Popular AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, and AEW Rampage reached nearly 4 million viewers each week across TNT and TBS. In addition to TNT's coverage of the 23-24 NBA regular season, to date is up 13% among adults, blah, 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 with NHL also being mentioned. I don't care about that. You're here for wrestling, not other sports. Day number 10. WWE NXT numbers stay strong. Per WrestleNomics, the show averaged 722,000 viewers and scored a .21 rating among 18 to 49-year-old demographic. It's that sweet demographic. Samoa Joe had an interview with Sports Illustrated. He tries to get fans focused on what's happening in the ring instead of backstage stuff and rumors and all that jazz. Here's his quote. I understand the world of professional wrestling. I've seen things work at a very high level, and I understand the type of people backstage it takes for that to happen. I try to be that person. He continues. As champion, you're the standard bearer. I'm more than happy to take that mantle. I really want to make a focus of getting the fans' attention back on the conflict in the ring, and a lot of the petty stuff needs to melt away. Let's get back to entertaining people. He continues on later on in the article to say, my goal is to have really great matchups with extraordinary individuals, which we have in spades on this roster, and give fans a reason to tune in. Something is about to go down, and it's going to be violent. That's the vision I have for my reign. I'm looking forward to executing it. Also, per WrestleNomics, Monday's episode averaged 1,464,000 viewers per hour, 8 to 11. With 18 to 49-year-olds, it had a .44 rating. That's crazy. Also, that's apparently very low, right? Both are well off. Oh, never mind. That's right. Quote, both are well off the previous episode and the lowest the show's done since mid-November. That's crazy to think about that. 1 million is low for... Anyway, let's move on to day 11. NWA announced its date for new programming on the CW app. NWA officially announced the date for programming. It's going to be NWA Power. That's the thing they were having on YouTube for a while there. CW app, by the way, not a sponsor, but apparently it promotes itself as, quote, available everywhere. No login, no subscription, just free. So that's right, starting February 6th, you can watch a free show that was on YouTube on an app that's free now. After Brian last mentioned a story about Chris Jericho, quote, getting knocked out on his own cruise ship by someone he mouthed off to on Cornette's drive-thru, Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net confirmed with sources that MVP and Jericho got into a, quote, heated exchange on Jericho's January 2020 cruise that ended with MVP knocking out Jericho. Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp tweeted that he heard the cruise knockout story, quote, just under a year ago. Sapp mentioned that other issues between Jericho and MVP and Cassidy's source also confirmed a previously reported hotel incident between the two wrestlers. Ooh. Tony Khan's Tuesday tweets weren't a heavy topic of discussion backstage at Dynamite. I think that was the hinder gender thing, if I'm not mistaken, according to Fightful Select sources. WWE's hiring of ESPN's Lee Fitting as Kevin Dunn's replacement reportedly, quote, made waves, end quote, in the production and TV departments. That was from a PW Insider Elite report. And it also said that there was some concern, quote, that an outsider, end quote, that an outsider would now be above them, end quote, and that some WWE execs, quote, deserved a shot at the job. Pac was in Jacksonville for Dynamite yesterday, per Fightful Select. The site notes that he may have been there as part of AEW's multi-show process, end quote, to get cleared for long-term injuries. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T said Patrick Clark, FK Velveteen Dream, reached out to him, quote, about 3 months ago and, quote, was trying to figure out maybe a way back into the business. God, just give it up, dude. Just give it up, dude. I mean, listen, if the Ultimate Warrior can come back, anybody can come back, but, like, sometimes you just gotta know when it's your time, and it's not your time yet. You gotta apologize to everybody and their brother. Also, according to PW Insider, Bo Dallas is still under contract with the WWE. They couldn't confirm if it was full-time or tiered per appearance deal, but Fightful Select also reports that Queen Aminata, Aminata, has signed with AEW. That would have been crazy. Mickie James as a new gig in wrestling. She joined OVW as its creative director, head of female talent, and executive producer. And here's her posts on, what is it called now? X, I guess. Quote, thank you at OV Wrestling. That's so weird. For everything you've done for me now. Now I hope to return the love in some way. Honored, excited for 2024 has in store. They also did an official press release, but I'll save you the details. I'll save you me talking about the details. If you want to look at it, it's in the description. Here's day number 12. WBD is so happy with AEW, they gave them their own press release. So yeah, like I just mentioned, they got a shout out in the press release, and then on January 12th, WBD sent out another press release entirely focused on AEW's performance in the just completed calendar year. Oh boy, here it is. You ready? I'm not. TBS and TNT All Elite Wrestling Programming delivered banner year. AEW franchises across Warner Brothers Discovery Network continued to deliver constant and top-rate programs. TNT and TBS has wrapped up another stellar year of AEW wrestling across its networks, including constantly delivering top-rate programs each week while expanding AEW programming mid-2023 through TNT's AEW Collision on Saturdays and continuing to broadcast memorable wrestling moments and storylines through TBS's AEW Dynamite on Wednesday nights and TNT's AEW Rampage on Friday nights. I really hate that I'm reading this. AEW programs across TNT and TBS in 2023 ranked the top 10 of all cable programs among adults under 50 72 times, including 50 times with top 5 program in that coveted demo. Viewership of AEW programming on the network saw increasing momentum as the year accumulated, reaching 15.6 million viewers in quarter 4 of 2023, up 3% versus quarter 4 of 2022. Overall, AEW program reached nearly 4 million viewers each week across TNT and TBS. TBS continued its success into the new year with this week's AEW Dynamite telecast delivering cable's most watched live program, sports cinema, blah, 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 among period 25 through 54, and second most watched live sports program on the night, period 18 through 49. I think that's demographics, but whatever. The program was also set up double digits in both demos versus last week's AEW Dynamite telecast. Warner Brothers Discovery action-packed AEW programming continues tonight. They're plugging all their shows at that time. I'm not. And then they talk about Samoa Joe taking on Hook, sponsored by Warner Brothers Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Yeah, if you actually want to read the press release and not just hear me just ramble about it, I'm sure I linked it in the description below, maybe. Who knows? If you want to check it out, there's a lot of words. Heading into the January 12th episode of Rampage, Matt teased that there's going to be a change to the on-screen Hardy Boys. On his podcast, he teased it, quote, "We're obviously heading in a new direction. I'm looking forward to reactions, and Jeff is looking forward to reactions. I'm very excited for everyone to see the segment airs on Rampage that happened January the 12th. It's going to be a great segment with us and Mark Briscoe. I think we might have to do some more business with Mark Briscoe. But yeah, I do think the Hardys are heading in a new direction. I think it's really unique for Jeff, because I think you're going to see Jeff talk about and go into a territory he's really never explored before. I think that's going to be really interesting, really intriguing, really good, entertaining TV. What's the new direction? Oh, wait. Blah, blah. That was the article. Never mind. Matt continued stating, quote, "Anytime we do public signing, every 3 or 4 people that come through, someone's going to say, 'You are my childhood. Oh my God, thank you for making my childhood great. You're living legends. You're still killing it.' You know, we hear that so much, I think we just decided to apply it to the new direction we're taking our characters in." He continues, "The best thing is when the diehard fans who claim or feel they're the smartest and they get the ins and outs of the business, or they know what's going on more than anybody else does, or they have the correct idea, this is how creative should go, Tony Khan should book this way, Triple H should book this way, or whatever. Those guys, when they react to stuff and also gets underneath their skin, that still lets you know you still do your job, you can still play a role, and you can still even get the smartest of smart fans. Especially the ones who believe they're the smartest of the smarts." Hi, what's up? This channel is called DNA Wrestling, where I literally tell you the weekly news every quote-unquote week. Hi, smart professional wrestler Dylan here, even though I've never stepped in a wrestling ring in my life, I don't think. I digress. No, I take that back. I've stepped in a wrestling ring a couple times. I had a photo with a couple wrestlers in a ring. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of people that do get it, but there's even more people that are online, don't necessarily get it, and they just think, oh my God, the heads on these guys. You know, it's going to be fun to play around with, you know, the big-headed Hardys. Sometimes I refer to our new direction as the big-headed Hardys. And he also offered a simpler tease on social media, but you can look for that. Rock versus Roman reportedly isn't happening at Elimination Chamber. According to Wrestling Observer's newsletter sources, it's not going to happen. Well, Dave Meltzer hasn't confirmed Rock Reigns happening at Mania or what Cody's role might be. I said that weird. He has confirmed that Roman isn't even scheduled to be in Australia for the Chamber. Per Meltzer, Reigns has, quote, never been advertised. There are no plans for him on that date, February 24th, right now. WWE blocks Gable Steveson from amateur wrestling return. Speaking on X, formerly known as Twitter, Minnesota Gophers head coach Brandon Eggum, E-G-G-U-M, revealed that WWE had blocked his return to NCAA. He was tweeting out something, and then he says this, quote, also, quick update on Gable Steveson. Unfortunately, he will not be able to compete for us this season. He's a great competitor. He's always wanted to compete for the University of Minnesota, but ultimately the WWE would prefer that he solely focus on his professional wrestling career at this time. So whenever he's not at the WWE Performance Center down in Florida, he's up here in our realm working with our heavyweights, which is awesome. We can't thank him enough for the impact he's had in our program. We love following him and watching him compete on the mat. He's amazing. We're excited to watch his WWE career. So thank you, Gable Steveson, for our program. And for all the Gophers fans across the country and the world, we look forward to watching you in your career here moving forward. End quote. Here's the rumors for the day. Per Fightful Select, quote, as of several weeks ago, end quote, the Young Bucks were planned to be Sting's final opponents, the final match of his career at AEW Revolution in March, which, by the way, is going to happen. And Sting has a, quote, major say in who his opponents are. Oh, also, and Tony Khan is trying hard to do, quote, whatever Sting wants. That's awesome. The site also heard that AEW isn't considering Ric Flair for, quote, any in-ring performing, but Ric Flair is actively pushing for more physical spots. According to WrestleVotes, WWE planned to give an official name to Bobby Lashley's faction with the Street Profits on last week's SmackDown, but those plans, quote, got axed the last second for unknown reasons, end quote. How many times am I going to say quote and end quote? I'm just going to presume you know when I'm quoting it and when I'm not. If you want to find the quotes, just check the links. Anyway, the name that WWE had in mind or has in mind for the group is The Pride. Also, WrestleVotes mentions that the direction of the trio could be shifting. So that's interesting to think of. I might mention it later, but Bobby Lashley at this point in time has mentioned head leader of the Pride or something like that on Twitter anyway, so there you go. Wrestling Observer's Radio, Dave Meltzer pushed back on Matt Riddle's recent claims that he was supposed to win the Rumble and Money in the Bank in 2022. Meltzer specifically heard that Riddle was not considered seriously at any point to win the Rumble. Meltzer says Riddle is correct that Vince made a late call for Theory to win Money in the Bank last year. However, the planned winner before that was never 100% anyone. They had not figured it out until the very last minute. PW Insider says Dark Side of the Ring is coming back for a 5th season on Vice TV, and it's expected to begin in March. Spoiler alert, either this review or this week's news or next week's news or the next week's news will say what that season is and what it's going to have and some more rumors on it. On the newest edition of his podcast, Grilling JR, Ross specified the date when his deal expires with AEW, February 14th, 2024. Even as impending free agency approaches, he remains optimistic that him and TK will come to agreements and he can finish his career in AEW. Quote, I'd like to finish up in AEW. Sorry, I just love doing JR voice. I love working with them. That would include calling the main event of March 3rd's Revolution pay-per-view, the final match of another icon's career. Oh wait, that's not a quote. Okay, he continued going, and he in regards to that match with the Stinger, quote, I mentioned that to Tony Khan last night. He agreed. It's only right. It makes sense. How can I say this without sounding like a turd? I think there's money in Schiavone and I working together, not just in Greensboro, but going forward sporadically. And we have great chemistry. We've never lost that. If him and I are doing the match with Sting and the company, I believe it's the right thing to do. I need to get signed up so I can be there. He chimed in about the Young Bucks being Sting's final opponent. Quote, here's what he had to say. I don't have a problem with it. You know you're going to get a second guess by today's social media no matter who you put Sting and Darby against. Young Bucks are trying to kind of reinvent themselves. You can tell by their attire, their appearance. I thought they cleaned it up pretty good. Got the little mustaches and so forth. Thank you, Jim. They're looking for a fresh start, and that's one way to do it. People are going to say, well, what if they don't want to put so-and-so over? I don't look at it that way. This is your job, and so tonight your job requires you to lose. Let's roll. Let's go. Yeah, you tell him, JR. Boom, boom. I appreciate JR so much. I hope he can do Sting's final match. That'd be killer, because no promises here, but I'm trying my best to still get tickets for that. So that'd be crazy to see JR. To hear JR. Not here, but to know I was in the crowd when JR announced Sting's final match. Oh, God. Just thinking about it. Give me a second. All right. Little fanboy in me got goosebumps. Let's do day 13. FTR says Eric Bischoff is mad because Tony Khan didn't hire him. They had an interview with Jeff Snyder? Yeah. And this is what he said. Which one? I guess the pair. It says the pair did, so the collective of both of them. Quote, You got all these old-time miserable podcasters like Eric Bischoff. I love saying his name like that, sorry. And some of the others who are making a living just by going on their podcasts and burying TK and AEW when they know that AEW is a place where business is thriving. I think he's really mad that Tony wouldn't give him a job a few times he was there to collect a paycheck. Now, that's all I wrote for the 13th, so let's kick that final day real quick, because I got a couple things. So, on the 14th, TNA Hard to Kill happened, which, by the way, TNA's got a lot of hype behind them right now. Between, like, everything I'm about to mention and what happened at the Rumble, this is TNA's month. Good time to do it, too, considering they have their whole, like, streaming service that's kind of new. I mean, like, relaunch. You know what I'm saying. All right, day 14th. Going into that, what I was saying about TNA, a lot of people debuted, a lot of people signed. I usually don't like to spoil events, but some of these signings I have, some of these I don't. Some of these returns I have, some I don't. So one of them is Xia Brookside signing with TNA Wrestling. And it's crazy because Hard to Kill was their relaunch, and they ended up announcing easily crazy thing. I'm trying to get all my thoughts together. They easily announced like 5 or 6 crazy things. Like, they got new champions in Moose and Jordan Grace, who showed up at the Rumble with that title. And then people who also made their debut was Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke, and AJ Francis, formerly known as Top Dollar. That's crazy lineup on its own. But also Xia Brookside, she competed in the Ultimate X match alongside Chelsea Saul, Alicia Edwards, I Need to Rewatch TNA, Danny Luna, Jody Threat, and Tasha Stills. And you best believe I'm going to rewatch TNA as soon as I can. Shortly afterwards, it was announced on TNA's social media platforms that Xia Brookside had officially signed a contract with the promotion. Fightful Select had provided some details regarding her new deal, which is believed to be a 3-year contract. It said the two sides had been in contact for some time, as far back as November, and that the deal was done before the Hard to Kill event even took place. That's awesome. Injury update on Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair's been off WWE TV since December the 8th. I've kind of picked up on that injury. Picked up on some articles related to that injury, but basically what happened was she picked up a brutal injury on her ACL, MCL, and meniscus following a spot where she performed a moonsault. She has now undergone surgery and spent some time rehabbing in Birmingham, Alabama, where many surgeries for WWE superstars take place. An update provided by PW Insider has revealed that Flair is now back home following this and is beginning her recovery. Flair was initially slated to be out of action for 9 months or so, and the current projection following surgery she'll be back in around the time of fall 2024. That's crazy. So instead of 9 months, which would have been 10, 11, 12, what's 3 months subtracted from December? Instead of October, she's now going to be, October's still the fall. So times are about the same. But hey, I'm hoping for the best. Heal up and come back. TNA and AAA signed an official working agreement. During the pay-per-view, Hard to Kill 2024, which, by the way, as a TNA historian, I recommend watching that. The president of TNA, Scott D'Amore, emerged in front of the TNA fans in Nevada alongside the CEO of Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide, Dorian Roldan Pena? I don't know, P-E-N with a little squiggly over top of it, A. Celebrating their ongoing cooperation over the years. It was announced that the two sides would once more be striking up official working relationship going forwards, with one of its goals of bringing more Lucha Libre AAA stars to the U.S. It was noted that the aim was to change the landscape of professional wrestling and bring together stars from both companies. That's so wild. It's so wild. We live in a world where AAA, TNA, and theoretically WWE are working together in one branch. That's crazy. Bayley and Mercedes Mone spotted in the crowd at TNA Hard to Kill. Also, they took a photo backstage with Jordan Grace, just letting you know. Mustafa Ali's New Japan Pro Wrestling debut announced. There's a video package that aired after Battle in the Valley 2024, which Mustafa Ali appeared on the podium to reveal ongoing campaign was bringing him to New Japan, and he issued a challenge to the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Hiromu Takahashi. He made the challenge for the upcoming New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot event in Chicago on April 12th. Jack Perry also showed up in New Japan and ripped up his AEW contract. Following the match in which a bunch of people defeated Tom Lawler, the people defeated people. That's all you need to know. Umino was shaking hands and acknowledging the crowd at ringside. He was then attacked by a masked fan who jumped the guardrail and issued an assault on him. And the fan revealed himself to be Jack Perry. That's freaking crazy. The rest of the things that I had were talking about Ash by Design. Is that Ash by Design? I believe I said that right. And Nick Nemeth's TNA debuts, but I already touched on them. So we're going to end the week now. Woohoo! What are we at, theoretically? Oh my god, it's been an hour! Alright, I'm sorry in advance, but thank you for hearing me out. Hopefully I can trim this down. I'll see you guys tomorrow for week 3. That should have been already uploaded, but hey, que sera, que sera. Alright, bye!